Gary Vee has a quote, anybody's somebody. Like this girl comes up, I want to be somebody someday. He says, you're already somebody. I disagree. In the world we live in, if you want to succeed, that's not the paradigm. You're not somebody until you can do something. The truth is anybody could be somebody, and you should proceed like that. But while you're lazy, you don't have the discipline, you don't have the skills, you don't have the intelligence or the athleticism, it might help to think in extremes, because you're here. This is the other extreme. Yeah, you need to be here. Thinking in extremes is going to help you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Yaseen Abdalla back today on the Running Effect podcast. And today's conversation was remarkable, extraordinary. It's going to equip you with the tools to take your running to the next level. I promise you that. I'm going to keep this intro remarkably short, way shorter than I normally do them. If you don't know who Yaseen is, either Google him or better yet, scroll down, read the show notes. We've got a lengthy history of who he is, what he's done in the sport. My one request before hopping into this, share the podcast with a friend. That is the easiest way in which podcasts can grow. I pour my heart and my soul into the Running Effect. I want it to have deep, meaningful impact in the running world and in the world at large. And it's conversations like the one I had today with Yaseen that I truly believe can have that sort of impact. So please share this podcast. That would make my world. Subscribe, follow, 5-star review, all that fun stuff. Without further ado, enjoy this conversation with legitimately the man, the myth, the legend, Yaseen Abdalla. Ladies and gentlemen, he's done fighting me. He's back on the podcast. The man of the hour. You know him. You love him. He's streaming every night at this point. He's dropping nuggets of wisdom. Maybe dropped the biggest banger of all time yesterday on YouTube. Meanwhile, he's still repping his home country on the World Championship stage, peeing blood for 3 days after, and living the dream one day at a time. Yaseen Abdalla, ladies and gentlemen. Yaseen, how you doing, man?
What's up? Good to be back.
I want to ask you, peeing blood, take me through that experience. I was with two buddies last night, and one of them was like, you got to ask Yaseen about peeing blood for 3 days. You got to ask Yaseen about peeing blood.
You said you were with who?
Two of my buddies last night, and one of them was like, you got to ask Yaseen about peeing blood.
Yeah, I mean, it was... that race was so hard in the race. Like, I'd say in the Paris Olympics, afterwards, I was more debilitated. But that race, that last 30 minutes, I mean, I don't think I'll ever be in that much turmoil in my life again. I would bet a lot of money that I'll never be in that much turmoil again. That was some pain people aren't meant to feel. And I'm one of those disassociators. So some people are like, I'm literally thinking about my pain when I'm feeling it. So literally this last 30 minutes, I'm like, people are not meant to feel this. And then after the race, I'm with my family. We're in the subway. And there's usually, in Tokyo, I guess, in New York, there's no bathrooms, but there's trash cans. But in Tokyo, there's bathrooms, but there's no trash cans. So they're both kind of annoying about that stuff. So there's a bathroom in Tokyo, and I go in, I'm just going to take a piss. Just red. Just dark red. But it was like red. And it even freaked me out because, pee is different than blood in that, one's more water. And pee, blood does that, kind of I don't know, when blood drops in a water bottle or something, you know how it, tentacles out? Like, it did that. I was like, oh, It's a lot of blood. And so I go outside and I say nothing. I say nothing. Just going with my day. I'm like, damn, maybe I should do something about this. I'll probably head back to the hotel later. But I'm with my family. I don't want to freak them out. The race was tough enough. And I'm like, okay. I'm thinking to myself, damn, you're about to kick the bucket. Just keep your family calm. You can head to the doctor in a little bit. And then I look it up, and it's apparently it's normal. Normal is a stretch, but it's hematuria is one thing and rhabdo is another. So what happened to me, because what I was peeing was blood. There's difference if it's hemoglobin, like blood, versus myoglobin, which is like part of blood. But it's more like cola colored. So I'm peeing straight blood. That's hematuria. So what happened is once I hit the wall, an hour 40 in or something, blood is super away from my core, trying to cool everything down. And so there's less defenses on my bladder and stuff down there. So it's smacking against, just cutting up. So there's blood. Versus rhabdo is when your kidneys are overwhelmed. And that's a whole different, that can kill you. So I was like, okay, if I'm still peeing, if it's more cola colored, or if I'm peeing in blood after a day, okay, we'll do something. Because I really don't like going to the doctor. Maybe that's going to be the death of me. But I really don't want to unless I have to. So end of the day, I start peeing yellow again. I'm like, oh, you're going to live. You're going to live. You're not going to die getting freaking 21st. So, yeah, I lived to see another day. It was pretty brutal. And one thing I was really surprised about was when I'm like I peed blood, I'm like, you want to see? In my mind, everyone wants to see, but the overwhelming reaction is, I'm good, bro. I believe you. Don't show me. So maybe I'm just crazy, but yeah, most more than not, don't want to see.
Yeah, we may have lost some people already on the podcast who are freaked out from talking about peeing blood. I want to ask you though, how do you push yourself to the point where you're peeing blood? Because that takes another beast to push past those normal human instincts to stop yourself from even getting to that point.
I've got that question a lot on TikTok about like mentality, or how do you be so tough, or how do you run so tough? You might as well ask, how do you be so fast? You know what I mean? Some stuff is just internal. Some stuff is about hard work. I would say that's something I've always had. Like, one thing I could always give is like 100%. And in that specific instance, that marathon, I mean, if my family wasn't there, I don't know if I win a DNF. Like, that was really like, my family's already here and we're in Tokyo. So having people there really did change the paradigm, because in a sense, I was trying to do a lot better. And in the marathon, it's way more common you just DNF when your goal's out of reach, because it's so debilitating on your body. Like, I couldn't train for maybe 28 days after that one versus 2 weeks after, a little less than 2 weeks after the Paris one. So in a sense, it was just my family's there and I'm not being logical. In another sense, I've always been super tough. It's always been, I would die now to get the result I'm looking for. Like, literally, I would die. People say they would kill for it. I would literally die for it. Someone after the Paris Olympics, I stopped to take a crap in the middle. People were like, you don't want it that bad. Like, you don't want it that bad. You stopped. I would have just crapped myself. Whoa. Okay, bro, that's you. It's easy to say that in the moment, right? An hour and 10 minutes into the Paris Marathon, anyone's tough. But I would die for it in September, in October of a NCAA year when no one's looking at all. And maybe the accumulation of that care, it's like, if you care that much in October, how much are you going to care in August? How much are you going to care in September? How much are you going to care in June? And so maybe it's a natural progression. I think it's a little bit internal, just like someone's foot speed is a little bit more internal, so like someone's type 1, type 2 fiber is more internal. But just like anything, I would say I work at it. I'm working at it from October to June, October to now September. They're going to push the pro season to December now. It's going to be a 14-month thing. Who knows?
I'm fascinated to talk with you about your last NCAA cross country race, because you haven't been on the podcast since then. You placed fourth in the country. I feel like for you, that was your really first breakout cross country race you had in quite some time, breakout, performance in the NCAA in quite some time. I know you desperately wanted to win another NCAA title before leaving, but how sweet was that day in Virginia, and what was it like to have a performance that walking away from the course you felt good about?
It was really good to get an award, and maybe sort of reinforcement of the truth and importance of balance. So much of my maybe persona, or the impression people get of me, is just like overtraining or doing everything you can, grind set, blah, 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 David Goggins type of stuff. And I really don't advocate that at all, especially like that's what's gotten me killed. If you look at my downfall, it's never been about being lazy. Like, all my failure has been being impatient, being greedy, being too much. And so that's one race where you can see that I didn't break the pattern, but that was early enough in the pattern of doing too much that, hey, right in the middle is when it's perfect. You see what I'm saying? I was out of shape because we did the marathon, took a break. Out of shape at pre-nats, I got 8th. SECs, I'm grinding, still get 5th at SECs, and then I get 4th at nationals. Doing nothing special. Me and Buck are like, dude, just hold back. Why are you trying to kill yourself? Why are you trying to do this? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I do that, and then nationals goes really well. 10 days later, we do a 3K. I just do like 3 workouts between. Goes really well. And another thing about the nationals race is it was super cold, and it affected my body less than pre-nats. Like, I felt great. And so we could bounce back off of that for Boston very easily. I didn't have a bad workout 3 days later from nationals. So I knew I'd do good at Boston. And that ended up panning out really well. We did the 3K, 5K double. And I would say that was, if anything, that should have been an ultimate lesson in patience. Like, dude, stop trying to kill yourself. This is 9 years of stuff. But then in another way, that was where the seeds of my loss were planted, because I see that the patience, while incredible, while, in the sense that I've always tried to compete with myself, those were the optimal results when I'm patient. I've always advocated against starting to compare yourself to others. Like, people are like, if you look at my career, some of the results I've gotten in times versus in accolades as far as medals are because I focused on myself. And I preach that, but I don't always practice it. So it's like, you look at the progression from the indoor season, it's like, okay, you're versus yourself. You're only worrying about yourself. You get fourth. You go under the record. You run a really good 5K after. But what happens is I see guys are still beating me. Guys are still in my range. And that's, in a sense, that was my only experience of it all paying it off. I'm like, it's still not enough. So now there's two perspectives, knowing how the indoor season went, where maybe if I had just stuck to the balance, I make another jump. I've talked about it in my stream a little bit, or maybe in my TikTok, but I now consider time to be the only enemy, or maybe the greatest ally, depending on your perspective, in running. So in a sense, let's say you're a 30-minute 5K guy. If you're a 30-minute 5K guy, what's the chance you improve it after any given workout? It's close to 100%, right? But when you get to my level, let's say it's a 5% chance you improve in any given workout. People think, oh, let me work out harder and make it 6%. That's not the case. If you overtrain, it might be 1%. If you undertrain a little, it might be 3. If you undertrain a lot, it'll be 0. But how you improve that is not you try and make the 5% bigger. That's all you've got. You're assuming it's optimal. You've got the training perfectly figured out. How you improve that is over time. Let's say you do that for a week. 0.95 it's in a week of 5% chances. Now you've got a 30% chance of improving. Some dude is electric motorbiking on the sidewalk. In a week of 5% chances, now it's 30% if you do the exponent. If in 60 days of 0.95, like 5% chances, it's now a 5% chance you didn't improve. So instead of trying to force this little stupid stuff, it's time. It's easy to say consistency. It's easy to say all this stuff. But for me, when I put it in like a numerical sense like that, like, it literally is time. If you make the equation of improvement, the only thing you can control is the amount of time you put in once everything's optimal. And I see that in hindsight. This is not how I approach the indoor season. In the indoor season, and to be like, overtraining is the death of anyone. That's my warning to the youth. In the indoor season, I'm thinking, yeah, 5% is great, but I think I'm at 0.45 or whatever, 4.5%. If I could get my foot speed up, if I could get this, if I get lighter, if I could up my mileage, if I could get the right spikes, we could get that 0.5%. Right. And in that, I got a little hamstring injury. I got a little knee injury. Like, there's all sorts of stuff popping up. And I end up basically getting overtrained. And in that, you lose the ability to compound. So that 5% over what would have been 90 days, maybe 100, turns into like some days off, some days not optimal, some days going backwards, and you lose the whole power of time. So, yeah. What was the whole premise? Balance. I'm saying balance is key. That's what I had in cross. I lost a little bit indoor. I'm trying to get it back now.
How weird does it feel to be outside the NCAA? You have this dream in high school. You work your ass off for it. You make it to Texas, as a walk-on. You try to figure out your way there. And then throughout the years, you're in search and chase of an NCAA title. You have some ups, some downs, everything in between. Now you leave the NCAA. Now you're a little fish in a massive pond. Where's kind of the Yaseen Abdalla mindset in this next chapter of the journey?
Yeah, I'm still training really hard, and I still love running, but I'm trying to figure out more so. Like, I love running. I love the times and stuff. I love competing, but it was always the times and me versus me for me. So I'm trying to figure out, how much do I prioritize championships? How much do I prioritize the part of it that I never liked, which is like putting myself up against others? Like, I want to go 7:22, 7:25, 7:28. Like, I want to run these times because it's a proof to myself. I don't want to do them to beat someone else. And that's a little bit in contrast, or like, that goes against the way the sport's set up. Like, no one cares about time. It's all about beating other guys. It's all about like that kind of situation, which, is less appealing to me. But I've enjoyed building a community, trying to inspire others and making myself better, and showing a sort of a blueprint for mistakes improvement, but I'd call it a blueprint for mistakes, because I've made like all of them. I've made all of them, and the external change, like I get some frustrated sometimes because of the lack of accolades, but the external changes have been minimal compared to the internal changes. Like I think of failure as the greatest teacher, and I have been his best student, bro. I've been his best student, so that that has put me in a position where I think it's changed me a lot, going from who I was when I was 15, with super bad learned helplessness, to now it's like super existentialism, like super big on it's my fault, we have to figure out how to make me better before the world will change, and then the world changing will be inevitable. And carrying that into the pro, I was in college so long, people are like, does it feel different? Do you feel lost now? I'm like, no. In my head, I've been pro since I left Texas. Like, it's always been about running. The school has been an afterthought. And I've been trying to figure out my own way against sort of the maybe traditional way athletes do it, like low social media presence, going straight to a program, going straight to this, same coach maybe even in college the whole way through. So it is what it is. The situation I'm in is not one. This is what I say. People are like, why didn't you just do something different indoor season? I'm like, if you know who I am and you see where I've come from, how could that person not have done it, whatever it takes to win, or tried to do whatever it takes to win? So in a sense, I'm like, oh, I should have just called it and been patient and like accepted my lot indoor season and been balanced before I got the lesson. But the kind of person who would have accepted the lesson and been balanced without the effort would have accepted when the balance was that I'm a horrible runner and I should just focus on school when I was 15. You see what I'm saying? So it's carried forward. Like I'm just trying to accept that like I'm improving a lot. I've always improved a lot. Not many people could do what I've done, but anyone who could do what I've done would have made that mistake, because it's part of that greed to get better. But pro life has been good. It's been not that big a shock. I'd really say I've only been thinking about stuff for a month, because up until September, I was really just focused on worlds. I wouldn't even call it a transition, because I was locked in training with Buck at Arkansas for whatever, 7 months. And then I went home and I was like, I'm just going to train every day for worlds for 6 months. And so I learned a lot in that build. But on the back end of that, now it's like, okay, what's the next goal? Do I want to try and run another marathon? Should I try the track more? Do we want to sign? Do we want to try and do something independent? Do we want to go with a smaller brand or bigger brand? It's a lot of choices that I'm still fiddling through. So nothing's set.
You mentioned as a 15-year-old, kind of the change in mindset between 15-year-old Yaseen and present day Yaseen. I think a core theme there is that self-ownership piece. I think you touched on this a little bit in your video yesterday, but so many people want to point fingers, blame others, rather than realizing that they themselves are the CEO of their own life. And if they're successful, it's their fault. And if they fail, it's their fault. And that life actually becomes a lot more freeing when you view life with the perspective of everything's on me, and it's on me to make something of myself. And, if you come from a nice family with opportunities or whatever, like, sure, you have a head start. And if you're David Goggins and your dad beats you every day, you might come from behind a little bit, but everyone has a chance at life, and you can make something of yourself if you have that perspective where it is on you and it's not relying on other people.
I totally agree. My main criticism has been, you say that, but you transfer 3 times. And I think you take it from the perspective of everything is your fault is not what I'm saying. I'm saying approach everything with what have you done wrong. So in a sense, when I was young, I would think, oh, it's their fault, but really it's my fault. But when I'm older and I'm in these programs that aren't set up for success, I would say, to put it nicely, you don't say it's their fault. You say it's your fault for letting them do this to you. And so if you put it in that perspective, you don't get stuck in a situation where people think it's accountability and really you're just a victim. Really it's Stockholm syndrome. Really you're just entrapped. So I don't think it's harmful at all. Some people will be like, yeah, you transferred a lot. What are you talking about? It's like, yeah, I transferred a lot because I was being a moron, letting them kill my career, letting me let them kill my career. I was a moron at 15, letting me tell myself like it's their fault. No, it's your fault. And so I don't think that's just to say existentialism, like it's my fault, is great. Even when it's someone else's fault. Because if you're always analyzing yourself, you'll be like, dude, why are you letting them walk all over you? You're being pathetic, not they're being jerks.
Something I love that you talk about in regards to that self-ownership piece is I think people are so scared of the NCAA, like, I don't know how institutional it is that they'll never call out their bad experiences, but it's like, how can we expect to be good role models for the next generation if we ourselves aren't actually open about our experiences? Can you take people through why you're so open and honest about your good experiences, your bad experiences, what's worked, what hasn't? I think way too many collegiate and professional runners are too quiet about like what worked and what didn't. And I think it does a disservice to the next generation to actually know what is best for them.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit self-selecting because the best guys often have the least problems, right? And also the best guys get the most opportunities because they're most likely to listen. If there's a good coach or someone who's purported to be a good coach, he'll get the best athletes. And whether or not his coaching is mediocre or not, the ones who get the most coaching and break through will be the ones who most listen to him. So in one sense, it's like the guys who are just going to listen and not question are most likely to succeed, especially when transferring is a little bit harder now. But in another sense, the most talented guys, they don't have the problems. It's like yeah, I have problems because problems arise when you're not good enough. If you've never not been good enough, everything's peachy keen. I never had a problem with any of my coaches when I was doing great. It's when I'm doing bad and then their true colors come out and my true flaws come out. It's like, okay, like this isn't ideal. If we're not trying to get better, it's not going to work. And so that's just to say it's self-selecting that it's going to be harder. The better runners get more coverage, and the better runners are less likely to have had these problems. But in another sense, yeah, it's hard to speak out. And people would say I speak out. I feel like I've been pretty down low with it. It's like, yeah, I transferred. Obviously, there's a reason. Obviously, it's either because I'm a dickhead or I wanted to get better. Yeah, it's because I wanted to get better. There was some institutional stuff, and you all know what that's like. Like anyone who's been in the NCAA knows what that's like. Like the coach wanting this or that. It's like I remember the exact moment when I realized, dang, coaches don't know everything. And it's also the moment when I realized like adults don't know everything. I always say I turned on at like 15 or 16, at some point after I started running. But it's like, yeah, I had these realizations late. When I was like 20, when I left high school, because in high school we would do whatever. Coach Carosa, I love him. We would do whatever he said. If he said you guys are doing jumping jacks for 60 days, like the whole block is jumping jacks, we're doing jumping jacks. No one's saying anything. We're going to chop it up while we're doing jumping jacks. When I got to college and these coaches are like, I promise this will make you better. And then I don't do it worse. And then they call you big boned or they say you're an idiot or they say it's because of your mental. It's like, whoa. Aren't we living in reality? Like there's a limit to how much I'm going to believe. And so when I got there, it was like you have to also know that it's not your fault. That's another thing. Like not to get all Goodwill Hunting on you. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. But in a sense, it's the runners who we hear, the coaches who we hear, they're going to be like, yeah, it was the crummy kids' fault. They weren't good. But here I am from the other perspective as someone who's been made good now, but also been very bad. Spent most of my career under pro expectations. It's like, dude, these coaches are crazy. It's like, what is going on? They're really just guys who maybe used to run, probably weren't that good at running, ended up coaching somehow. Like it's really just guys. There's not many coaches who are like, whatever. Jack Daniels just passed away a couple months ago. Super innovative, influential coach. Lots of accolades and degrees. A lot of coaches don't have any degrees. They just were someone's athlete who wasn't good, who was close to them, went up through the chain. And you have to realize that, but it also does you no good to blame that. Because I guarantee you have just as many problems as them as an athlete. It's like, dude, your coach is a head case. He's a nutbag. That doesn't mean you're not lazy. You're not a nutbag. You're not like, look at me. I'm like as good of a runner is in the season right after me and three other guys run under the collegiate record. I kill myself because of my own mental, proclivities, my tendencies. So you always have work to do on yourself. And so it's part, yeah, I want to open the chapter that the system is problematic. Yeah, they're bringing in foreigners. Yeah, it's getting harder to win. The story's getting less interesting. All this stuff is wrong. But you can still get out of it what you need to get out of it. If you're a 27-minute guy and your career is to go to 25 minutes and it's hard, then you've gotten the internal development that I did. It probably was as hard if you were trying hard, because I was trying pretty hard and I got really good. If you're really bad and you're trying just as hard and you get really good, you probably did the same growth. You went through the same things. It's the same story, 1,000-fold over for all of us. You might look at me and say, oh my God, I wonder what he went through. You've went through it. You've all gone through it. Just because you didn't go 734 doesn't mean you didn't go through it. So yeah, there's a balance. The system's a problem, but you can get as much as you want out of it by still blaming yourself. Because what are you robbed of? A people want to like the new thing to complain about is the foreigners. It's like, yeah, that's a problem. But the fact of the matter is, if you are a good athlete and you end up with a win versus a good athlete who tries his best, who because of this gets fourth or fifth or sixth, you've gone through the same growth. And they say the opportunities are gone. I don't see that the opportunities are gone. They're always looking for Americans, right? Americans is so much easier to get sponsorships. So I feel like it all balances out in the long term. To go on a little rant.
Now that you're out of the NCAA, what's your biggest hot take? Whether it's the foreigners, BYU, NIL, training
You want to say
method.
something crazy?
No. Be true to yourself. I'm just curious now that you're on the other end of it.
I would say there are less than. This might be a crazy. I don't think this is crazy among good runners, but I'd say there's less than 10 good coaches. 10 coaches I'd call good in the NCAA. Maybe even less than that. That's a pretty hot take. What? What about the coach that did that? I would say 10. Because when you hear some of the stuff these top coaches are having their athletes doing, it's like, do you have a ChatGPT earpiece going into your head, bro? Like, are you getting this out of the, Let's Run? Some of the boat workouts you hear the top schools doing. The top school, no. My feet are in the sand. Less than 10 good coaches in the NCAA. And that, I feel like that needs to be said because the overwhelming hysteria is like, I'm crazy, I'm not good, I'm not, this is the problem. My coach is saying, dude, your coach is crazy. And there's a level to it where you definitely have issues. I have issues. I'm really improving and I have issues. But that doesn't mean you're crazy. Like, if you're a girl, that doesn't mean you're fat. If you're a guy, that doesn't mean you're whatever the equivalent would be. Maybe also fat. It's like so keep don't let the perspective of your coach become your perspective. Make it an input. What your friends say, what you think, what your coach says, maybe what your parents say, and then you can get a holistic picture. If they're all saying you're lazy, you're lazy. If they're all saying this, you're this. But just because your coach says you're this, and you've given them this position in your life, dude, I'm telling you, there's 10 coaches who maybe you should even listen to in that situation. Maybe 10. And I'm only saying 10. I've got to be honest with you. I'm only saying 10 so that if some coach was like, are you on that list? I could list them just to keep the tensions at ease. It's probably less than 10. But yeah, that's my hottest take.
Do you think success in distance running is more on the athlete or the coach? I think the obvious answer is probably a little bit of both, but how would you reply? And what do you think is at the core root of success for a distance runner? High school, college, middle school, it doesn't matter.
I would say completely on the athlete. The only exception, I said this in a rant on my stream, I put it on TikTok yesterday, is when they're getting in your way. There's a difference when your coach is not showing up or maybe not as educated versus when they're saying stuff that you know is counter to your development, that is in practice been counter to your development, that they're telling you race strategies that are worse for you as the athlete you are, or will make you lose confidence. That's an exception. That coach you need to get away from. That is the coach's fault. As far as training methodologies, as far as motivation, as far as this, an athlete can supply it, right? I've always said there has to be one person who cares about your trajectory. It doesn't have to be you, but it's the only person you can guarantee. So if you look at Seb Coe, his dad, Peter Coe, coached him from whatever, Maurice Bakken coached him a little, I think, or gave him advice, but his dad coached him most of the time. Maybe Peter cared more than Seb. We don't need to know. Maybe we know, maybe we don't. But in your instance, you don't have a Peter Coe. You don't have if you're Galen, you don't have Salazar. If you're Jacob, you don't have Gert, right? So you can't say, why couldn't someone just care about me? That's just the overwhelming philosophy. I remember thinking that when I was a freshman at Texas. Why can't I get some super mentor to make me a superstar? Well, if I knew Beyonce, I could make a super crazy album, bro. Let's live in reality. It's maladaptive daydreaming. So it is the athlete's fault as far as you should ever concern yourself. If we're getting into theory about, well, this coach did, well, yeah, there are coaches who have killed careers. There are coaches who have demolished athletes, like demolished athletes. That's and it might be a lot who try that, but there's a lot more athletes who just blame others, don't take accountability. And though I'd say I've come into contact with that a lot, those kinds of coaches, I still succeeded under them. I still succeeded up until it got super negative. And that's to show that, that athlete accountability is way more important than whatever coach accountability or yelling at your coach or hoping it's your coach's fault.
If you were to create a blueprint human who was going to be super successful at the sport of distance running, what are the top few, I won't even put a number on it, but what are the top few qualities that they should have that by having those qualities, you could assume they'd be successful?
I would say it would help to be stupider. I would say I'm not that stupid, which has, if anything, gotten in my
What do you
way.
mean? What do you mean by that?
Like, I'm always trying to optimize. Like, you should be so stupid you don't even know what the word optimize means. Like, you should just know about running more. Like I said, I'm over here reading theories and Maurice Bach and stuff, and how the tendon strength, tendon stiffness increase your running economy if you do more hill sprints, blah blah blah. It's like, holy crap, just go out and run. So I would say stupid. All that thinking has done so little for me compared to just my determination. Like, the more I think, if you graphed it out, the more I'm thinking about my training, as opposed to ruminating on my failures, which anyone can do, like getting frustrated that I lost, the worse I've done. So I'd say they're stupid. There's not like super stupid, but my coach Carosa said, he said you have to be smart enough to do the training, but stupid enough to think it matters, right, in the grand scheme of the world. So that's part of it too. And then I'd say there has to be a big balance between self-love and self-hatred. So like, if you heard the way my internal voice is to myself, like, you'd give me a restraining order to a safe place, bro. But on the flip side, if you see the way I talk about in some videos or in some streams, like, you think I'm an egomaniac. It's a balance of both of those things. It's because who was going to believe in myself when I was going 24 minutes, right? People were telling me to quit, focus on school. They were literally saying, like, pack it up and hit the books. Literally. And so who's going to believe in you other than you? I said that in a video. And that's where the ego part comes in. But on the other hand, if you've just got ego, what do you do when you lose? You compensate. Oh, they have this, they have that. Instead of saying, I failed. I'm literally a failure. We have to hit the drawing board. I have to improve. Something's wrong with me right now, this and that. And it gets very negative, but it has to be a balance of those two things. I've seen somewhere that's like overwhelmingly the traits of people who succeed independently, like apart from inheritance and stuff. It's like they hate who they are when they lose, and they love who they are. Maybe not when they win, but whenever they're not losing. And it's a painful balance, because if you're a downer, people will hate you, and if you actually love yourself, people will hate you. Look at the speech Timothy Chalamet gave. So I want to be one of the greats. I look up as much to Viola Davis as Michael Jordan and Michael Phelps, and they're acting like he said, "I'm the greatest ever. You guys should all kiss my boot and kiss the ring." He just said, "I believe in myself. I want to be great." He didn't even say, "I am great." And so that's backlash that you're going to get, but it's necessary to be like, people look at stuff about me and they're like, "Oh, I like the improvement, but I don't like this about him, but I don't like that about him." Dude, it's self-selecting. No one but someone with my traits would have improved like this. So it's like, oh, if he wasn't so cocky. If I wasn't so cocky, I would have given up when they told me to give up. Oh, he can be super hard on himself. If I wasn't hard on myself, I would still be coping. Like, so many people with egos are coping. Still running 24 minutes thinking they can talk to Cole Hawker on Let's Run. Thinking they can talk to Garrett Fisher. Is Grant an idiot? Why didn't he do this on Let's Run? But it's a balance of both. And that's part of the perfect human. Anything else? I would say talent. Maybe that's foregone, but look, any other insight? Let me think. Ability to tank training. There's a book, Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. It's like we have this idea of super geniuses who like train little and get really good, and we have this idea of hard workers who do crazy work and don't improve at all. But in practice, that's just, I think the book might have concluded that it's completely untrue, like that those people don't exist. They're either doing unreal practice. In running, I would probably concede that's more true. Like, there are some geniuses and there's some people who work hard and never get anything. But I have rarely met them. I haven't met any of them. I just don't want to seem closed-minded. That's why I'm saying that. I haven't met any of them, to be honest. Everyone who works hard over time sees results for it. And it might not be 734, might not be 722 like Hawker or Fisher or whatever. It's going to be something that's worth it for you. People are asking me like, oh, what if I'm not as talented as you and I train as hard? Well, you will have gotten just as much as I've gotten out of it internally. And externally, I wouldn't say I've gotten that much more out of it. Like, I've got a YouTube channel. I'm still working on a contract, right? Like, I've got some times. All the measurable development has been internal, and you would get the same thing no matter where you go. So, yeah, I started ranting again.
No, it's good, man. Would you talked about talent there? Do you think you can outwork lack of talent?
Oh,
Like, do you think people use lack of talent as a cope? And
yes.
I think, yeah, because real quick, just to fill this out and then ramble as much as you'd like. I think at the top level, talent matters, but I think this might be a hot take. I think anyone can get to a D1 level. I'm not talking about Texas, but I'm talking about like D1. There are a lot of MAC schools, Toledo, Bowling Green, Eastern. I don't know. There are a bunch of like lower level D1 schools. I think anyone can run D1 if they work hard enough, regardless of talent. I don't care if you're born with obese parents. Maybe that's a crazy hot take. I don't think it is. I think you can outwork a lot of lack of talent. Do I think you can be Jakob Ingebrigtsen if you're not talented? No. But I think you get really far. I think you can get farther than most people think.
I completely agree. I completely agree. That's why I said this on a video a couple of days ago. I kept saying, dude, it was not getting through to these people's heads. Some of you guys just want to be losers forever. It wouldn't get through their heads. I'm like, you could maybe do it. You could maybe do it. And they're like, dude, you're one in 10,000. And then I was like, first of all, no, I'm one in a billion. I was ranked 8th indoors for a little bit. So I'm like, I'll claim that forever if I don't get better. But first of all, I'm one in a billion. Second of all, I said, it's not that anyone could do it. It's that the person who could do it could be anyone. Because yeah, you don't know like if you could be this good or this good, but you wouldn't have picked me. That's it's. If anything, I'm overwhelming proof that the person who could do it would be anyone. I was bottom 10% in high school. I would literally be getting people Gatorades and stuff. Metaphorically, I wasn't actually doing that. Like I'd be the water boy of the high school team, and that's like it's like they use the cope to stop from having to do the effort. It's like in anywhere in life, like people want to just throw out something that might be true, even if it isn't, to prevent themselves from even ever struggling to figure out if it is. Like they assume I couldn't be as good as you because you're so talented, which sounds, on the surface like it's probably true. It probably is true. It sounds like a good thesis to stop themselves from ever struggling with the fact, doing the runs, doing the years of work to figure out if that's the truth. Like I'm doing the years of work right now to figure out if that's the truth. And the D1 thing, I would say, I think so, dude. Like whenever you say this, people get so offended. No, I know I'm a loser. No, I'm a real loser. Like, who's arguing for the other side? And it's never anyone who's really struggled with the training. In my experience, you hear these guys on Let's Run. Oh, I do 160 miles a week. Yeah, and I go 15:05. Okay, well, I'm hearing that on Let's Run, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing any of this stuff in reality. You're hearing a lot of stuff on Let's Run that's crazy. In reality, I'm seeing you literally get out what you put in. Obviously the start is different, but if you put out the same work as I do, you get the same kind of drastic improvement. You might not get the same time, you might get more, but you get the same kind of drastic improvement, and people don't even want to do that. And D1, dude, we had guys at Texas who came in with 430s or 440s. Obviously, it's a new NCAA. Let me not sell you guys on a pipe dream. But when I was there, we had guys with 430s and 440s in high school who got to walk on. And at other schools, I mean, it's probably even crazier. It's even crazier. So you could definitely go D1 with 2 years of work, 1 year of work, and I mean real work. I don't think
Well,
that's
and
a
also,
crazy
dude,
take at
I'd
all.
say, well, there's such information out there today that you would have to be so ignorant not to at least know how to somewhat train to get better. It's whereas like 10 years ago, I'd be like, okay, yes, I would agree with your points on maybe it's mostly on yourself and not on your coach, but like 30 years ago, the difference between having a really good coach and not having a good coach, the gap was massive. Now it's like if you don't have a good coach, show him. I'll give you an example. You've seen 8th grade going into high school. I was terrified because I peaked in 8th grade. I won my city championship. I was on top of the world. I thought I was going to go D1 and win nationals. Like I was good in 8th grade. I was a stud. And so I was all worried because I was running for my public high school who had one kid make the state meet. And I hear we get a new coach. So I email him. I say, hey, can we meet up? I'm in 8th grade. I meet up with this guy at a Chick-fil-A and I bring The Science of Running by Steve Magnus. I'm like, I want you to read this cover to cover and you're going to tell me what you learn. And I'll let you know if I want to run for the program. Because I was like, look, I'm not going to mess around. I'm not going to run for a program that now, do I think that was wildly ballsy and maybe like a little prideful? Sure. But like I found out that The Science of Running by Steve Magnus existed. And I was like, I want to know how we're going to use the workouts in this book to get me good. And so I think it's the same thing. Like I came from a experience where my coach, that was his first year ever coaching running. Like his first year ever coaching around was coaching me. And like I think I have some Yaseen tendencies where high school I trained a little bit like an idiot. I did too much. Like my problem was not laziness. I worked a little too hard. But bottom line, the point I'm trying to get across is like the information is out there. Like 7th grade Dominic would literally go to the library for free and just check out books on like sports physiology and what workouts to do. And it's like if you're coming from a place where you do nothing and you do a little bit of something, you're going to get better and just replicate that model.
That gets me into one of the things I've been thinking about recently is how a lot of improving or learning anything is about how much you can do on autopilot or how much you can do in general. So like a lot of when I was starting to running, it was so much learned helplessness. Like I would never have thought you can pick up a book, learn, you can tell your coach that you disagree with them, you can do all these things until I was like 19. Like I tell people I turned on super late. Like I turned on, you know, like you're off until you're like 11 or 10 years old. I turned on at like 15, I would say 14. And then I started thinking for myself at like 19 or 20, and I'm 24. And so I think a lot of that stuff contributes to victory more than you think. Like the fact that you can do that. I couldn't do that until very late in my career. Like when I went to Kenya, that might have been the flip because I got there and it was like, dude, you're cooked if you can't do something. I was in the boonies. No coaches. Everyone was shut down for the Olympics or a break because they didn't make it. And so I had to be like, what can I do? I get on Let's Run. How do you train? I'm hearing about Ingebrigtsen's double threshold. I'm like, let me try that. It ends up working out pretty good in the long run. In the short run, I was just doing it wrong. But that kind of accountability to tell your coach, hey, like basically to make an impact on your life. Like people were saying, how did you get so good at video editing? It's the exact same as running. You don't realize it. You think like you're getting better at editing, you're getting better at this and that. But really you're getting better, or maybe you're internalizing a lot of the parts of it. So for example, when I run 7 days a week and I don't take a day off, and I've written my training out for the next 6 months with minor adjustments. For that next 6 months, it's on autopilot to run on Monday, then in the afternoon. Tuesday's a workout, morning, afternoon. Wednesday's whatever. Thursday's one run. Sunday or Saturday's long run. Another workout day. It's on autopilot. And then the same way for video editing, my editing hasn't gotten a lot better. I've just put more of it on autopilot. Like I can just sit there and put text and make cuts and pick music without like having to freeze and like this hurts my brain. Like if you sit with people who don't know what they're doing or say they don't know what they're doing, it really just hurts them to think. So when someone's like, oh, I don't know what to do, and you're like, okay, Google this. Then they Google it. They're like, what's next? Okay, click the link. Okay, what's next? It really boils down to that. So less about running and more about life, that ability to come up with a plan and execute. Like you're like, hey, my coach might suck. I came up with a plan. This book is the plan. And execute. I'm going to show him the plan. We're going to not kill me with whatever the hell first-year coaches try and put you through. That has a lot more to do with success than any of the talent. Because you do that with a coach, that's one thing. If you do it with yourself daily, plan, execute, revise, plan, execute, revise, that's how you get improvement. That's how you get development. That's how you get long-term change.
Going back to a point you made earlier on about I'm trying to think how you framed it. Basically, the qualities of successful people, how they hate losing and, you know, they love when they win. For you, do you love winning more than you hate to lose, or do you hate to lose more than you love to win?
I hate to lose more than I love to win. I say you have to love winning. Maybe that's a bad way because I wouldn't even say I love winning. Like when you get to my level, like winning just feels more like relief. Like holy crap, I didn't fail. Thank goodness. It's really brief. It's like maybe a day, and then you have to get back into the rhythm. It's some momentum for sure. But I would really say it's a hatred of losing. I was talking to my friends. Negative force is the change in the world. Like people will talk like positivity changes the world, negativity changes the world. Like think about this. If you love a girl and you want to change your life, you don't change your life because you love her. You change your life because you hate how you can't provide for this girl you love. You hate how you're running. You hate how you can't be as good as this guy. It's not because of how much you love, because love is like a current thing. It's like, if I love something, why would I change it? It's what you hate that you change. So negativity, of course, I'm a big changer, like a grower, like an improver. Of course, I'm going to be a very negative person in the things I want to improve at, because I wouldn't improve if I liked how I was. So definitely losing more than winning.
If you were to coach an athlete listening today, What would you assume based on, your live streams, your videos, DMs, whatever it might be? What do you think are the top problems that hold athletes back from being everything that they should be or know they can be?
Laziness, a lack of faith. So laziness, like this is so based. Like I remember one of our guys at Tennessee had this problem. Like you don't even think about it at my level. Like you're skipping a run, like you don't want to do the workout, like you're sandbagging the workout. It's like this is a problem that doesn't exist at the high level. Like when I say the runners I race against don't train as hard as me, this isn't even a consideration. I would hope they're not skipping runs. Like when I say they don't train as hard, I mean they're just doing great. It's not they're doing like skipping runs. Like I'm trying to do more than great. They're trying to do great. So I'm calling them like I'm doing more than them. This is not a consideration, but at the lower levels, this is maybe how I was when I started, when I was 15, when I was going 24 minutes. Like, you don't want to run on a Sunday. You don't want to run on a Saturday. This workout, I'll just sandbag it. Second off is lack of faith. That goes into more what I do, like lack of faith in your fitness, lack of faith in your coach, lack of faith in the program you're in. Because novelty is so, like, moving to humans. So when you hear that they're, even someone who's racing a little bit worse than you or at your level, if you hear they're training like this and this and this, you're like, maybe I should do that just because it's new, even if it's just as good or worse than what you're doing. So lack of faith. Then I'd say, well, I would put this in lack of faith. With they don't understand that thing that I said about time is like your enemy or your ally, depending on how you frame it. Like they're thinking the coach is their enemy, they're thinking their effort is their enemy, they're thinking the weights or the lifting or this and that. It's really time. So they have to put in, like, the problem isn't that you're doing the wrong work. It might be, but more than likely it's that you've done this for a week now. You've done this for a month, 6 months. Like I'm going on 9 years, and I didn't win anything until 2022, until 6 years in. Until 6 years in, I didn't win anything. So it's like, dude, broaden your horizons. Let's think in long term. Long term is where success becomes inevitable. Then fourth, that might be the gist of it. Those are certainly the most core ones. I would say there's not enough emphasis on a group environment. If you don't enjoy it, how long can you do it? Right? It's harder to enjoy the better you get. But at the lower levels, dude, running is already such a fun sport to do, like, because it actually hurts as compared to soccer. Why are you trying to do it alone? Why are you trying to do it the David Goggins way? Bro, you're going to burn out. You're 16. Get a girlfriend or get a boyfriend, whatever. So have fun with it. That usually amounts to a team environment. Those would certainly be the four more important ones. If I come up with another, I'll mention it. But
In regards to laziness, because you brought that up a few times, why do you think people are lazy? What's the core reason behind laziness? Specifically, like the people who hop on your stream. It's like, okay, dude, they went out of their way to follow a running YouTuber. You guys clearly care about running. Like we're talking in this podcast, right? We're 50 minutes in, so we're talking about people who like somewhat care about running. We're not just talking about like the random guy who his parents are forcing him to, and so he's just like resorting to laziness. The guy at Tennessee, without name dropping him, like, why are you run for a D1 program? Like, why are we being lazy? What do you think the root cause of people who state these big dreams and goals, but yet they are lazy? What's the root of it? Why are they lazy?
it's so easy to associate with greatness and call yourself great. I said this last time. I was like, do you want to be good at running? Do you want to pretend you want to be good? Do you want to do this, or do you want to pretend you want to? And it's not a conscious thing. It's not a conscious thing where you're like, yes, I'm pretending. I'm fooling everybody. It's literally, you are at the program, you think you're doing the things, and you skip a run. It's, you think watching me, like I said this in a video before, some people think $100 converts to 1 mile run. Like that kind of pretending. It's not some conscious thing. It's where they conflate actual, like, learning about work or preparing for work or hearing about others' work as work. And some people, it's ingrained in their conscious that they're not different. And so maybe they're doing a little bit of the work, or they've done enough of the work to get somewhere. Maybe they haven't. But they're doing all these things and they think it's them trying to be great. Like I put so many minutes into learning about running, so much time into this, so much money. But far and away, I would say those things have all had a negative impact. If I hadn't read, if I hadn't done this, if I hadn't done that, my running probably would have gone better, because any failure I've learned, any failure, any improvement I've made has derived from failure. Like I fail and it sucks, and I learn not to do the thing that made me fail. Whether it's overtraining, whether it's a certain type of workout, whether it's hanging out with these people, whether it's racing this type of way, it's failure. Reading about it in a news article, it might work for some people, but I'm one of those people who will doubt it until I've done it. And so I advocate doing some of this stuff as soon as possible. Run a race every sort of type of way when you're 15, and it doesn't matter. Do every type of training, like do every type of this and that. Trust your coach. Don't trust your coach. Learn the pitfalls, because later on it's more costly. And I think that's the best teacher. Like, it's like people will, like, let's say you want to start a podcast, and you actually have a podcast. So I guess this isn't a metaphor for you, but people will start a podcast. They'll buy the mic. They'll get all the get up. They'll get the camera. They'll get all this. And then they won't know how to talk to a camera because they didn't practice. Like, where's the practice coming in? That's what I'm talking about. And practice isn't practice just because it makes you better. It's because it lets you lose. Like, you do a podcast. If something didn't suck, you didn't learn anything. It's like if you talk.
Go back. That was a bar. Practice.
Yeah.
What was that line?
Practice doesn't teach you anything. Failure does. It's if you spent an hour practicing. What are you practicing to do? You're practicing to make yourself fail. Have you ever thought about the fact you run to make yourself hurt? You run to find that level of hurt that's it's in that sense. It's not teaching you mentally. It's teaching your body physically. We have to be ready for this. So we talk about what is it? Aura maxing, this farming. You should be failure maxing. You should be failure maxing as young as possible so you can learn max. Here I go with all this TikTok lingo. But the more you fail, the more you learn. If you reframe practice as an attempt to productively fail, it's like, oh, I want to fail. It's like, oh, I want to make this mistake. And it's not, you want to do new mistakes, to be clear. So when you get a mistake, it should be added to your arsenal. It should go in your utility belt, like Batman. Okay, I've got this one. I won't do that again. And as you search more, a new one will appear. And you put that in your utility belt, and a new one. And all of a sudden, your utility belt's freaking crazy. And you can share this with people. And some people, I don't have that talent. I got to be honest, I don't have that talent. Some people can learn from your utility belt. Like if I told you some stuff, maybe you're smart enough to be like, okay, let me not do that. In extreme cases, I am. But usually I'm like, really? Let me do it. And then I burn my hand, and then I learn. So, yeah.
Something I'm curious to hear about before wrapping up is, like, you chased NCAA titles for so long. What's your current version of an NCAA title? Like, what keeps you going and pursuing the sport of running, and what are you striving after presently?
It's a little bit nebulous. Obviously, the next typical goal is just world medals. It's just medals at Worlds. And it's a little bit, perception is everything. I'm trying to see through. The people who the media covers the most, it doesn't mean they're the most successful. Like, if we look at all the people my age at Worlds, no one blew me out of the water. But so it wouldn't be that crazy to be like, I'm going for medals. But insofar as, or whatever, that's my word of the week. I'm still trying to learn how to use it perfectly. Insofar. As far as goals I internally want, I just pick what motivates me. So it's like, oh, I could say I want world medals, but I don't really want world medals. I want whatever makes me train. Like, did I want NCAA titles? I was just telling myself whatever to make me train. We need to train harder to get this title. We need to train harder to go 7:30. So if world's medals works, sure, we'll say world's medals. If I need more world's medals and a bajillion-dollar contract, okay, that's what's going to work. But on paper, we can say world's medals. In my head, it's more, we're still figuring it out. Running, trying to make an impact.
Is marathon the distance? Or no?
If worlds has gone a little bit better, yes. Right now, I think I'll go back to indoors.
Dude, but come on, let's be real. Pause. I want to challenge you. I'll debate you right now on the pod. 21st in the world is not bad. 21st in the world is crazy.
I'm maybe contrary to what you think, I'm so susceptible to other people's opinions. Like I tell my friends, or I used to tell my friends, like whether or not I think a girl is pretty directly correlates to if they think she's pretty. If I think a girl's pretty and they're like, no, she's not, I was like, oh, what was I thinking? So when I look at the external reality and I'm surrounded by people who are high level runners or, high level in the sport, it's like, it's different than people who maybe I should be surrounded with, like the people in my streams who are like, dude, you're incredible. And I do have a little bit more perspective because I remember when I idolized, I'm going to throw out some old names, Reed Brown, Sam Worley, what is it called? Matthew Kearney, I think. Like all these guys who would run crazy times. They were literally like, in my head, these guys, like this is guys who are going like 405, 415. They were literally like in Super Smash Bros, the silhouette character, like with all the lore, like it was like some crazy faraway thing. And so now I try and use that to ground myself, but it's like all these people I'm surrounded with, we want to call it a victory. Like if we can go into not to get too real, but if we can go into the board meeting with heads of agencies and the heads of companies and what's her name? Jane Hedengren, Parker Wolf, Ethan Strand, Dylan Schubert. Let's all these names come up. Let's say all these names come up, and then my name comes up, Yaseen Abdalla, and they're talking about me. In my head, obviously, I'm a pretty negative person. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. In my head, they're not saying very good things, which is how I phrase things. I use that to fuel me. It's like, oh, do we want to do? Is he the next face of the sport? They're not saying very great things, and I understand. We can sit here and be like, believe in yourself. Let's be great. Run to make a difference. You can do it. This is the realities. It's like no matter what you do, they're damn near gonna want more. Look at Cole Hawker. Oh my God. Let me say this. I was at the Olympics, and I snuck into this lobby. Like it was for the heads of committees. Like it's crazy, bro. It's like the athletes can go to worse, like can't go as many places as the coaches. I hate it. I'm like, bro, we're the foundation, aren't we? But anyways, there's this like really nice lounge for the coaches, and the 100 meters going on. And I'm in this lounge. I know if I leave, they're not going to let me back in, so I'm eating. I'm just munching down, watching the 100 meter on the TV. And there's these two guys from Ghana or, I don't know, Uganda, Nigeria. And we're watching Julian Alfred. Shout out Juju. We went to Texas together. Sha'Carri, a bunch of other girls. And the 100 goes off. And Juju wins. I love her. Shout out to her. But then these guys, the camera's on Sha'Carri, and she just won Worlds. She just went all through this stuff with the marijuana, whatever. And they're like, they say something like, "What a loser! No one cares unless it's the Olympics." And it's like, you're never going to get out of this, so you have to find a way to put it against yourself. So that's why I'm so hesitant, dude. That stuff makes me so mad. It's why I'm hesitant to be like, I want medals, or I want this kind of external thing. It's always been internal. I wouldn't have been here if it wasn't internal, because I haven't gotten anything. So people like stuff to grasp onto, but if I'm being honest, it's all internal. It'll shift. It'll be whatever makes me move in the moment. It'll be whatever I feel like doing that makes me proud. And I would advise other people to try and frame themselves in that way too. But a little bit more roast than.
What's the next race? Where can people find you? When's the next race?
I think I'll go to the Danville Classic or whatever, the opener in January 26th. BU. I love BU. As long as that track's legal, I'm gonna hit BU. Maybe the December 7th one or whatever, but I'm not sure. I was thinking about doing another half or something, maybe Valencia marathon, but the training was so haphazard and hard to do this last month. So we're getting back into it, probably late January. That's the plan. Little track return, probably another marathon, dabble in everything.
I love it. And before I ask you the final question, where can people support you? A lot more public these days, doing streams. Loyal fans of Yaseen Abdalla who have loved hearing you on the podcast throughout the years. Where can they find you? Where can they support you?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube. I'm on TikTok and Instagram and whatever else, but YouTube's the big one. Just my name, Yaseen Abdalla. If you look it up, that'll come up. I just released a video about mortality. It's about how death should be your friend, not your greatest fear. And I'm trying to do more stuff that's fundamental to running than straight about running. So what makes someone run? What makes someone care? What makes you grow? And that's getting some dissidence. We're working on it. I'm doing a stream, which I'm trying to turn into a talk show kind of thing. So we're working on that too. So we talk about that kind of stuff, but mainly youtube.com. Thanks for having me, Dom.
Big time. Final question, final piece of advice for the listener. What do you want to tell them? What do you want them thinking after an hour with you? Masterclass. People should pay for this. This is free. What's the final cherry on top message?
The biggest lesson, and I view my life, I try and view my life in the third person, because you get so biased. You literally have to sit down and think, what would someone who's not me be thinking as they watch what I've gone through? Is, hey, idiot, how many times are we going to have to teach you that balance is the key until you accept it? It's obviously great to think in extremes when you're at an extreme. When you're extremely lazy and pathetic and whatever, Gary Vee has a quote, anybody's somebody. Like this girl comes up, I want to be somebody someday. He says, you're already somebody. I disagree. In the world we live in, if you want to succeed, that's not the paradigm. You're not somebody until you can do something. The truth is anybody could be somebody. and you should proceed like that. But while you're lazy, you don't have the discipline, you don't have the skills, you don't have the intelligence or the athleticism, it might help to think in extremes, because you're here. This is the other extreme. Yeah, you need to be here. Thinking in extremes is going to help you. But when you get to the point where I'm at, oscillating, we need to understand that balance is the language of the universe. Everyone wants to think in extremes, radicalism, whether it's politics, whether it's running, whether it's the approach to life. Hakuna Matata, don't care about anything, or David Goggins, kill yourself if you can't work, you should die, blah, blah, blah. It's always about balance. And that's so true in every facet of life, especially running. That's why I hate overtraining. I hate it. But insofar as I want to get ready for the rest of my life, it's a lesson you have to learn. There is too much of a good thing, because at that point it becomes a bad thing. There is too much of a training. There's too much mileage. There's too much trusting others. There's too much only listening to yourself. So it's a constant battle. Don't think you've learned one thing and it's set in stone, other than double threshold. That's the only thing. But my whole life has been like, don't think you get to just believe one thing without nuance. Don't do all the mileage. Don't do all the workouts. Don't do all the trust. So make your life a pursuit of that balance. Whether you're wrong, whether you're right, it's a data point.
I forget who said the quote, but that final word reminded me of whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Absolutely.
How you view the world, what you think. Oh, it changes everything. Yaseen, you're the man. Appreciate it. Guys, if you don't hear from him on the podcast for another 2 years, it is not my fault. It is his fault. So spam his DMs. He will be back hopefully soon. And dude, I always am blessed by these conversations. Kindred soul, going deep on these subjects, and really proud of you, man. I always cheer for you and excited for your future.
Thank you, man.